I'm a hustler, baby.
It's time for Hustle Her podcast. I'm your host, Deshae Keynes. Hustle Her is all about inspiring women through real life experiences that have helped to mold and develop not only me, but my guests into the entrepreneurs and leaders we are today. If you're an enterprising woman determined to succeed and looking for a bit of motivation, a bit of tough love, and some actionable takeaways to be the best you, girl, you are in the right place. Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast. Super excited to have you join me today. Just a few things, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Really, really important when you subscribe to the channel so you can get some updates for us, and then you also know when the next episode is coming out. Also, make sure you head over to the website, hustleheartpodcast.com, sign up to be a VIP guest, have some cool giveaways coming out from our sponsors, and we don't want you to miss out on it. I am super excited today because my next guest is not only an amazing lady, but we have a bit of history. I used to work with her when I was an intern at ASW, and now she is the CEO of Athene Life Re. Please help me welcome the amazing Natasha Courcy.
Oh, thank you for that.
How are you?
I remember the history now. That's taken me back about what, 11 years now?
Long time.
Long time.
Long time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I actually remembered that as I was talking just now, believe it or not. So let's start out. We'll do some quick questions and then we'll jump right in.
Okay.
Cool? All right. What is your favorite show you're currently watching?
God, this is a tough one because I don't watch a lot of TV. Mm-hmm. Rings of Power, maybe, on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Your go-to lazy dinner. You don't feel like cooking, even if it's takeout. What is it?
Anything on Sargasso? No, kidding.
I feel that.
I am loving curry leaf these days.
It's really good, right?
Oh my gosh. I'm a West Indian. I'm a Trini girl. I love, and they do an interesting take on double, so.
I agree. I
good.
do like it. The tacos they do as well are pretty good.
Yes.
They have like
I've
the tandoori chicken tacos. Yes. They're really good. Yes. Okay. Favorite thing to do in the summertime?
Oh, I love the water. I'm a water sign. I'm a Pisces. Being on and around the water, obviously in Bermuda, easy enough. It's close and it's beautiful. But I love being on a boat in the ocean. Yeah.
Okay. A concert you will never forget.
Gotta be Beyonce.
Oh, easy, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
She is a performer.
Yes,
I love brings the fire.
All of the thematics. I love the schematics. I love everything about how she performs.
Oh, amazing. Okay, what's on your nightstand right now?
Oh, but hold on. Sorry, can I go back on that one? Because now I want to edit and add Masha Montano. Hello, he's also
he's
brilliant.
A performer too.
Yes, and again, he has taken his shows to the next level. So
yeah,
yes,
for sure. Okay, yes. Perfect. And fellow Trini, so there you go. All right, so don't kill her, guys. She meant Marsha. There you go. All right, on your nightstand, if you look over now, what's on it when you wake up?
My phone. It's the first thing. It's not a good thing to say, but yeah, first thing in the morning, it's on the phone.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Same. Guilty pleasure.
Mindless books. I always get sent these, you should read this. It's super insightful on mindfulness. My husband's all into mindfulness and meditation. No, I read books that storylines are minimal and there's just fun and drama.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I feel about reality TV and like playing games on my phone. Yes. Like if I don't have to use my brain for a little while.
That's the point.
Perfect.
I don't want to think too much in my off time.
I agree with you. All right, celebrity crush.
Oh my God, this one's hard. I think I gotta go back then to when I was younger. I mean, I had a crush on Taye Diggs, Morris Chestnut, Justin Timberlake back then. Now I'm too busy and tired.
That's fine. Old school celebrity crushes are cool too.
Yeah.
Morris Chestnut was also super handsome.
Oh, and he still is. So yeah, he's still up there.
Right? He's aging very well.
Very well.
Yeah. All right. And then lastly, favorite thing to do with your husband?
Oh my gosh, just quiet dinner time. Because we're both very, very busy. The schedules are packed and we have a little one. So it's amazing to know for us. It's not even about having any fancy dinners or making any major plans. Us being able to sit down and have quiet alone time and just talk. Yeah. It's the best thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right in. So tell me about little Natasha. Like, what did little Natasha like to do? What did she want to be when she grew up?
Yeah. So I born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm a Digger Martin girl. I grew up in a community that was very, everyone looked out for everybody. You know, we rode on the streets. I sang in this singing group that we every Christmas went around carol singing and raising funds for charity. That's still a big part of my childhood memories. Shout out to Auntie Ilsa. I grew up playing piano. My mother put me and my father put me in everything they could think of. Piano, music lessons, dance. My dad used to joke and say, Precious could sing, Precious could dance, Precious could do everything, but she can't boil a cup of water to save her life. I always remember that because, yeah, they literally put me in everything. And so that kept me really busy, really active.
Yeah.
And so right away from jump, I was involved in the arts. And I think as a result of that, to this day, I love music. I love cultural expression. I love movement. I love drama. I love the stage. And I think that's because of how I grew up. That being said, you know, I had a skin condition, eczema, atopic eczema, really, really bad growing up. So I had rashes and boils all over my skin. My mom had to shave my head at one point because it was all up in my scalp. So I was kind of that child that was picked on, young, kids not wanting to sit next to me in school.
Yeah.
All of that. That's also a very poignant memory for me from back in the day. And then eventually it cleared up. Time went on. I think through my involvement in singing and dancing, I was able to express myself in a way that I couldn't. And maybe I felt, you know, that I was being bullied and this was my way of expressing myself.
Yeah.
And that transformed my life, quite frankly, at 8, 9 years old. I represented my primary school in something called Music Festival as a part of the choir.
So you sing?
Yeah, don't ask me to sing now though, because let's just say the vocal cords aren't what it used to be.
You don't actually not be able to sing anymore.
I wasn't, you know? Let's put it this way, I wasn't an Alicia Keys, right? But I could hold a note. Even I could hold a note.
So you're
right?
a blender. That's what I call myself. I'm a blender.
Yeah. And I still love it. And I'll do it in my shower all day long. But yeah, so again, that kind of really helped me express myself in a way when I didn't really know how to.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, again, I think I always say this to people, the academic system in Trinidad is very competitive. And so I grew up at a time where we were still doing common entrance, which is a major exam when you turn 10, 11, end of high school. And that one exam basically determined what high school you got into.
Yeah.
And everybody has their first choice, their second choice, their third choice, whatever the choices were. And I really wanted to go to St. Joseph's Convent, Port of Spain, one of the best schools still is in Trinidad. And my dad we would pore over the books at 11, 10 years old. Every night we're there studying. He's with me. Wow. I did lessons. Like him and my mom, I think it was my first foray into what hard work, determination, and drive does.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think that I look back now and I'm like, if I had to challenge my 10-year, 11-year-old to do this, what would that look like for him? Back then for me, it was midnights sometimes, doing lessons, studying with dad.
Yeah.
And all that paid off. And I did pass for SJC, Port of Spain. And I still love my high school. I look back with such fond years of my high school years. Great school, great teachers. I think that's where I came into my own, found the subjects that I loved doing, found some great friends that are still great friends to this day. And I think it's also what set the tone for my academic career for the rest of my teenage years.
Yeah.
And so we did CXC there, did okay. I think I got 5 1s and 2 2s. That's not bad, right?
Not bad.
Not bad, but I wasn't like the top of my class at that point. I was always a grinder. I was always a kid that had to I had to put in the time.
Yeah.
Things didn't come naturally or easily to me.
Which I think is really good that you said that, because a lot of times people portray like, oh, it was just so easy for me when it came to school. Like, people don't realize that some people really have to study and put in the work.
And that was me. It wasn't like I just thought about it and I got good grades. I had to really grind. And then it was the same thing with piano. Like, I went all the way up to grade 8 in piano. And even that, like, that wasn't something I just sat on the keyboard and tinkered. Like, I had a friend of mine that could sit on the keyboard and tinker, and it sounded like Beethoven.
Yeah.
For me, it was every night, every evening, dad with me again, play this again, practice that again. It was like, so again, always a grinder. And so in Form 6 now, found the subjects that I wanted to do, the 4 or 5 that I was focused on. History was one of them, which dad, he was like, I don't understand why you're doing this. No one gets an A in A-level history. Like, no, why would you do this? I'm like, well, I think it's interesting and I think I could do it. And everybody said if you wanted to be a lawyer, that was the subject to take.
History was the way to go.
And again, I want to tell you, grind, lessons, essays. I'll never forget Miss Noons. Shout out to Miss Noons. My history teacher, I would give her essay after essay practicing so that she could tell me, is this what we're thinking of when you talk about analysis of the historical facts? So, and yeah, I did well in A-levels as well. I got the only A that year in my school in history. And that's actually what I think propelled me into law, because I think because of that grade alone, because I think I got 2 A's, a B, and a C. That's not 3 or 4 A's. That's 2 A's.
Yeah.
But I think the A in history was
that was like solidified.
It's solidified. Okay, well, this lady can analyze. Is what got me into University of the West Indies. So at that point, to get into law, and I think it's probably the same. I can't speak to it now. It's all these students, brilliant students in Trinidad, that are applying to get into UE. And they only take, at that time, it was maybe 15, 20 of us, because then you're meeting the rest of the region in Barbados. And so that, to me, again, it was a step-by-step, grind into academic success. And UE was its own story.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you mentioned a lot about your dad and him working with you in, all the grinding and studying growing up. Like, how would you say, outside of that, your parents kind of shaped who you are now as a leader, as a mom, just as a woman?
Yeah, my dad has really, and I don't think this was conscious. I think this was a subconscious thing. I have very strong memories of him driving us to school, and he would be in the car practicing speeches, because he himself, my dad didn't grow up with wealth. He grew up in I wouldn't say poverty, but they weren't rich by any means. And he grew up also having to grind academically, and he was just brilliant. I think he was just a brilliant man. And so he did very well for himself professionally, and he'd be in the car practicing these speeches. And I think as I grew up and I watched him present and do things with Rotary or Rotary Club or whatever else he was doing at Royal Bank, I just naturally patterned even how I speak now after him. I always found him to be so articulate, so expressive, charismatic. And so I think he subconsciously, and now I'm getting it consciously, has kind of patterned my style. My mom is, she is strong. She was the stable force of the family. She was the one taking care of us, driving us to all the activities, etc. So I think seeing their dynamic as well helped shape my relationship and what I wanted for myself. I think I wanted a bit more balance when it came to also being able to bring in the bread, but also be supportive of the household. But I get my strength from her.
Yeah.
I get my determination from her. She always has to have the last word. I get that from her too.
I mean, I come from a family of really strong men, but also really strong women as well, right? Especially on my dad's mom's side. And so we see a bit of that as well. So it's so interesting to hear your family dynamic is very similar. My grandmother's Jamaican, so West Indian culture is very similar in some instances like that. So it's very interesting to hear. But I mean, if you could look back now, what would you say is the one thing they kind of taught you that sticks with you today?
So my mom always used to tell me, I never want you to be mediocre, Natasha. Never be mediocre. Anyone can do that. That stuck with me because it pushed me to not always stay to the middle of the pack. I'm not going to be great at everything, but it was a mentality of, if you work hard enough, you can push yourself past the middle of the pack. So do that. And yeah, that stuck with me.
I love that. That's good. I might steal that one day. I'll quote her though. She's
Right.
gotta let me know.
Credit too.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right. So if you could turn back now, right, and you look at 18-year-old Natasha, what would you tell her now that you know everything that you know?
Girl, keep going. Believe in your gut. Because at 18, I had taken a break. I think either 17 or 18. I'd taken a break after high school, taken a year off. Because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Did I want to go to the university in Trinidad? Did I want to go to the US? Well, I wasn't 100% sure. Law seemed like the natural fit. I was one of those that grew up in a household where it was like, you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor. I think a lot of kids understand that. And I took the year off because I wasn't sure. And I think that was the best thing that I could have done. It gave me time to, first of all, work, get some money in the bank, give my brain some free time. And then when I was ready and I took that year off and I applied within that year to do law, I think it put me in a better place mentally to start that journey.
Yeah.
Because it's very intensive, a lot of studies, a lot of hard work there too. And I had done that for A levels and I needed the break. So the gut was take the break and pause and figure this out first. And then when I started, I realized, I'm actually good at this. I love to read. I love to analyze. I find these cases interesting. 18-year-old me was very insecure with my grades because I wasn't, again, I was a grinder, but I was in classes with people that were scholars. And maybe a little bit insecure about where I fit into that. And so if I could look back now, I'd say, keep doing what your mom told you to do, which is even if you're not at the top of the class right now in this year, keep pushing and you'll get there. And constantly believe in yourself that you can do that. So, yeah.
How often do you still tell yourself that now, what your mom told you? I mean, you're a CEO now, so you're pretty much at the top of the pack now, but how often did you find yourself kind of reverting back to that?
Always. Always. I think that insecurity, just because you are, or I can speak for myself, I'm not going to speak for every other senior leader. I have my insecure moments as well. I'm in an industry that is dominated by actuaries. Those are the engines of our business, and they're brilliant mathematicians. Yeah. They're good at what they do. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an actuary by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a strong lawyer, though. And I understand the business. And so I've had to say to myself, it's okay that my credentials look a little different to those in senior leadership in my space. I'm confident that I understand what we do. I'm confident I can explain it. I'm confident in myself, and I've worked hard to get here. So it's something I reassure myself of even now. I think, and whenever you enter a room and you're the only one, and you look different, that insecurity can also creep up. It's something I've deliberately worked to stamp down. So it's not something that's gone away. It's something that I'm better at stamping down now.
Do you experience resistance with leading men throughout your career?
I have, but not just men. I've had that with older women as well.
I agree with that. Yeah, I understand that.
It's been on both sides, and it hasn't been one race versus another. Actually, I've faced that with Black women as well.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting too.
Agreed.
We can sometimes be our own, our own worst critics.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think of any kind of, not necessarily confrontation, but difficulty in the workplace I've ever had is usually been with a woman. Yeah. When in a power struggle of some sort, though. Yeah. Not necessarily you're doing something wrong, but very much in a power struggle that I'm not really interested in, to be very honest with you, which is, it's quite sad when you think about it.
Yeah. I think it's unfortunate. It's like we're still doing the crab in a barrel thing.
Yeah. Why do you think that is with women?
I think it's unfortunate that the opportunities at certain levels and organizations still are what they are. The boys' club is real.
Yeah, totally
it still
real.
exists. There's still this perception that to be a strong leader as a woman requires that much more effort. It shouldn't, but sometimes that is reality. And so I think women still feel like there's only one that can be here. And if there is only going to be one that's going to be here, it's got to be me.
Yeah. And I don't want anyone else to kind of move me out of my space. Yeah.
And I think the more that we talk about the fact that that exists and the realness of that, hopefully we can support each other in terms of growth in this area. I think as the space, our industry continues to be more diverse and you start to see it, it's already happening. There's so many more women in senior leadership positions in IB now. Could there be more? Yes,
absolutely.
But compared to where we were, the ship has been turning, and hopefully that's going to be the impetus for some of this. I think in supporting each other.
Yeah.
And as a female leader, I'm always focused on what are the opportunities that I can give to those that are underrepresented. It's incumbent on us to do that.
Absolutely.
You can't get there. I've said this. You can't get the seat at the table and then close the door.
Absolutely.
You don't do that, right? That's not what leaders do. So what's the next step in order for me to be able to facilitate a culture that I can support more diverse integration into IB, and not only have people enter in and get the opportunity to get the foot in the door, what can I do to support the development? Because you can't set people up to fail either.
No, you can't.
Right? There's got to be pathways and avenues for people to develop into these roles.
I feel like you're in my meetings with my leadership team. I feel like I literally preach that every single day. Like, we can welcome as many people into our organizations as possible, as diverse as we want to be. But if we are not giving them the tools that they need to succeed, we're setting them up for failure.
Always.
Immediately.
Always.
Like, and that's the part of it. Like, being diverse and also being inclusive when we do that isn't just hiring a bunch of women or a bunch of Black people or a bunch of, people of color, just period. And then just being like, okay, be free, right? Yeah. It doesn't work that way. So just hearing you say that, I'm just like, oh, thank you, God. Someone gets it,
No, absolutely. Yeah, and you need to know your organization, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I work in a very fast-paced environment. We're very, very, I love where I work and what we've done in the time that I've been there. In order for us to mentor younger professionals, it's a bit of a challenge just because of the levels of the professionals that we're bringing in. So I've said, okay, well, if that's the case, what can we do to broaden a young person in internship? Maybe it's an internship or work study to broaden a young Bermudan's perspective on the life space. And it may not be an FTE role, but it might be some kind of work shadowing, job shadowing, internship programs, which we've done a lot of for this very reason. And at what point can we then say, there's an opportunity now for you to come in because of the level that you're at, and we can support and grow and develop you. If you're in an organization where maybe it's not quite as fast-paced, maybe it's a bit more flat, maybe there's junior level roles for someone that doesn't have a lot of experience, but that can learn on the job, do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You just need to be able to, I guess, it's an assessment of where your organization is and where you can best service that.
100%. I totally agree with you. And knowing that, like, before I started working at my current company, I was consulting with another, and I was like, you want to be diverse, but you're so fast paced at the moment, you actually don't have the time to invest in the people that you want to hire.
Exactly.
And that is actually more dangerous than just kind of leaving it the way that it is until you're ready to do so.
It's unfair to you and the person.
Absolutely.
Right?
I totally agree. So you mentioned something a little while ago about making it through and then shutting the door. What are some of the things that you've done with some of the, not necessarily women that you've worked with, but maybe them, to kind of not shut that door and kind of, bring people along in your journey as well?
I think my team will tell you, I always challenge them, probably too much. I'm big on, because I learned by being given the opportunity, even scary opportunities that you think you're not ready for.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what anybody else, again, speaking for myself. A lot of the opportunities that I've been given, it's because mentally I knew I could do this, but there was this voice in my head that would say, girl, you sure about that? I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
Like maybe, that self-doubt would creep in. And so I had to stamp that down actively. So my way of growing and developing my team, first of all, always seeking diverse team members. That's just, that's just part of the process. But I seek talent. And I've been fortunate that we have a diverse team of talented people.
Which is key, right?
Yes.
The talented part is very, very key.
That's right. And so I've been able to challenge, and this is how I lead by example. I've said, I might give you X task. You might feel like you're not up to it, but I think you are.
Yeah.
And so challenging them through exercises that they may not feel like they're ready for. I think I've seen the most growth in my team through that. Giving them opportunities that they didn't think they would have had. Giving them that visibility. I think visibility is important. I'm very big on I've had really good advocates of my own growing through my career at every stage. And those are people that saw a talent in me, saw that I was capable of doing certain things, and so gave me more. They gave me visibility, and so through visibility, I was able to expand my reach.
Yeah.
So that's how I also try to lead and develop the ladies in my team. It's about giving them that opportunity where possible to have that speaking engagement. It doesn't always have to be me. It doesn't always have to be X person. I want to broaden that reach. First of all, it develops you. It develops you as a leader. As many people that I can develop as leaders, I try to. So you may not have had management experience before. When I first did it, I didn't either. It's about equipping them with training, management training, tools so that they can themselves be better leaders. And I think in doing that, that also challenges you. I have to be strong for not just myself. I have to lead and know and be technical for the people that are reporting into me as well. I think all of that, I think I've used the tools that I've been given myself to try and push forward, probably aggressively. So I'm sure the women on my team would say this, their ability and their reach to do the same.
Yeah. So in your career, we talked about you went to school, you became a lawyer, and so you were working as a lawyer. Obviously, I established that in the beginning. When did you make the shift into, because you still work technically, you do legal work now. But when did you make that shift into kind of the life space, or was it something before that?
Yeah, so I'm still general counsel with the CEO hat. And I was in private practice, had been in private practice for some time, focused on corporate and banking. And I had made the move to Bermuda, which was primarily all about insurance. And that, still is for me. And I knew quickly within that span of private practice that I wanted to go in-house to a company. I always had an interest in broadening my reach beyond just the client base. Law firm clients that I was dealing with. I wanted to be part of an organization, and I wanted to see and work with different teams, address company-specific issues. That was always an interest of mine. And so I started off in the P&C space. I was working in-house there for a couple of years before it got bought. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do at that point. And the life sector had been growing, but I didn't know a lot about it at that time. And then I got this amazing opportunity, and I said, well, why not? This is good. This is a different sector. Don't know this market at all. Don't know anything about the business. I'll read up on it though. I'll do my part. And I think this might be good. And it was a company that, at that time we were about 25 of us.
Wow.
In the office in Bermuda at that point. And I joined with a thirst for knowledge. I'm always, if it's new to me, I'm going to read. Everything there's to read, I'm going to read. And it's something that I always encourage the young, professionals that I meet now. When you join an organization or you join an industry that you know nothing about, it's not always the company's role to teach you.
I love that.
Yeah, we'll do our part. We'll help support. But trust and believe, if I ask you 6 months in to working for me, what different underlying liabilities are that we're reinsuring, and to be able to explain how that impacts what we're putting in our financial condition report. It's because I have an expectation you've been reading the financial condition report and that you've read up on the regulations and you've read our 10K and you understand the products that we're reinsuring, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for, I always lecture this. I'll spoon feed as much as we as an organization can. It's really incumbent on young professionals to be thirsty for that knowledge themselves. So I did that early on. Our company has changed so much from when I joined.
Yeah.
And so every year I say is like 10 years somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so that required me to be, it's difficult to always be on top of everything. But I was able to be a part of those transactions and see the growth and see what we've been doing from the inside out. And so that's equipped me with the knowledge that I have now, and I have no regrets, because no one day is the same. It's been like that for 11 years for me with this company. No one day is the same. So it's exciting. It's exciting to show up for work. What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
What's next?
So what would you say? I mean, no, we're going to do this. So you have a huge job, right? And you say your husband is busy and has a big job as well. How do you balance being, and if you even do, being a CEO, being a mom, being a wife? Like, how do you balance all of that?
Listen, if it were up to me, we would get rid of this word balance. I think it is such an impossible standard that women are trying to make. I've even said it. Oh, I need to get my work-life balance right. Oh, I need to. Even a scale when empty at some point tips. Like that's just the wind blows and it tips. I don't think the standard is balance. When one part of my life is busy and active and great and churning, ultimately another part is suffering, whether it's the gym, the diet. You know, when one part, like my son, is super active and we're together and we're doing our thing, another part's suffering. Oh, I missed that email. Oh, I missed that call. And so my goal right now is not so much balance, but I want to call it fruitfully picking the right fruit before it's rotten. That's my goal. Before it goes rotten on the tree, being able to pick that fruit at the perfect time of juice. And so it's about just trying, call it juggle, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's more about just trying to ensure that each piece is taken care of. Sometimes, like I said, there's a fire burning and I missed it and I got to run over and out it. And I think that's okay. And I've been trying to do better about giving myself grace.
It's my word for the year.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. Yeah. Grace.
Yeah. So I don't balance. That's the answer. I don't.
No, I get it. And I asked that question, and it's very interesting to see the different answers. And I think probably almost everyone has been very similar in like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as like a CEO, do you feel like being a leader has affected, when I say affected, your personal life, like, do you think it's kind of ever this or that, or man, I wish I should have taken a different career path? Or is it like, nope, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. You did say you don't regret anything, but in certain moments, you know, do you feel, I shouldn't say, maybe a little guilty?
No.
No, good.
I am a woman of faith. I should have started there. I'm very grounded in my faith. You know, whenever if we do talk about my inspiration, it's grounded in my love of Christ. And so I believe that my footsteps are ordered always. Nothing that's happened in my career path has been by chance. It's because it's been ordered and I believed and I've been very much relying on God to order them. So for me, I believe that where I'm at now is bearing fruit for something that God has ordained for my life, that my mother and father put into me, and that I've put forth for myself in Jesus' name. And I believe that I am meant to somehow now put that baton in others' hands. My goal is to continue to exhibit and show strong leadership and grow in my own career. But I do this not for myself. I truly believe that there's a broader purpose. And so while I have the only regrets I would say I might have is the less time that perhaps I could have spent building a bigger family. I have one son. That was partly because I was so focused on work and career at that time. But I think even that was ordained and ordered. So no regrets. Can I do certain things better and different? Yes, always. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be more, and my husband would say this all the time, I'm my hardest critic. No one is a bigger critic of me than me. So that's my next phase of trying to do better and be better, because I think by doing that, I can also exhibit better parenting and leadership exhibits from my son. You know, I don't want him to see, I think people that know me well know I'm all or nothing. That's not always healthy, but it's always been how I've functioned.
Yeah.
And I want to do better for him in that respect.
Yeah.
So that's probably, and I wouldn't call that a regret. That's just something I need to work on. Yeah.
I don't think that you even need to work on it. I think most parents, and I'm not a parent, but most parents, they feel the need to do better for their kids than what was done for them. Yeah. Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially if you've worked hard enough. Like, make no bones about, you know, what you can provide for your kids, what you choose to provide or teach them. You know, if they're spoiled, they're spoiled. Who cares? But if they've got a good work, the good work ethic, they're kind, they treat people well. I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, I'm sure your son enjoys it too. So that's also good.
He's a piece of work. Yes.
Does he know what mom does?
He does. Yeah. Does it register and does he care? No. No.
Does he come into the office and it's like...
He does. He comes in sometimes when on a weekend or whatever it is, pops in and out. We have a booth that you can, quiet booth, a hush booth. And he loved that. When we were building the office, he would go in and scream in there to see if anybody could hear him outside. But yeah, he comes in, he sees... It's important for me that he sees the hard work. Mama doesn't always want to work at nighttime. Yeah. Mama doesn't always want to work on weekends. Like, it's not something I would choose to do, Baba. I tell him, I want to spend all of those hours with you. Yeah. But I also think it's important for him to see mom working hard and for him to understand the value of that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach him the value of money now. That's difficult too. I'm like, you like all these toys and all these juice boxes and you wanted we went to see Aladdin and he wanted a teddy bear. I was like, that costs money.
It costs money.
Coming out of your piggy bank.
Yeah.
If you work in the house for maybe 2 hours, you might make that back.
Yeah.
Those are the things I'm trying to teach him now. It's difficult though.
Yeah. So how would you say your parenting style is similar to your parents' parenting style?
Yeah. Mom won't like to hear me say this, but I'm like her. She would tell me, "Now, oh, you're so impatient with him." I was like, "Mom, you were not." Let's be real. Yeah. But it's very similar to her, I think. My mom, like again, West Indian house. Like I would be in the bedroom, she'd be in the kitchen. Natasha, what? Food ready? So that's how I am. Yannick, and so there's a lot of shouting, and my husband doesn't get that because he's very different culturally, and he's like, "What? Why are you guys always shouting?" And I'm like,
just loud people.
That's just what we do. That's just what we do. I grew up getting licks. We always talk about this. Whatever was there, pot, spoon, belt, broomstick, whatever was around, that's what went down. Yeah. And now with him, we're doing these timeouts, which let's be clear, it's not an immediate
not the same
impact, but it's different parenting, right? It's a different parenting style. So I've adjusted to like, I didn't get no timeout, I got licks.
Exactly.
But I think I see the value of why hitting my son the way I would have gotten licks isn't how I want to raise him. I don't want him to also feel like it's okay to hit. Yeah. So all the reasons why people say don't spank your child, I've taken on board. When I see another parent smacking their kid, I have no judgment here because I get it. Yeah. That's how I was raised. So some things I've tweaked, but a lot of it I've just kind of kept consistent with. My mom was very blunt, honest about, what her expectations were of us. Same thing with dad. And I think I'm the same way in that respect. Yeah.
So how did you meet your husband?
It's the most boring story. We met at a conference in Bermuda, the Captive Conference.
Shout out to the Captive Conference.
Shout out to the Captive Conference, putting people together
matchmakers.
For years.
Look at that.
And so he was on his booth. I was manning my company's booth at the time. And we met each other that summer. Had, a couple dates, went out, didn't work out, met each other again the following year at the very same conference. And he shot his shot again. I was like, well, this time you got to be serious because I have things to do.
I'm busy.
I'm booked and busy.
There you go.
So if you're going to come down this road again,
come correct,
I talk all big. I'm sure he'll have a different version of this story. So yeah, that's how we met. Second time, I'll always shout out to David Gibbons, who also helped play matchmaker at the first time around.
I love that. That is so cool. A Captive Conference bringing people together. I might need to get a ticket next year.
Right, yeah, that's right. You never know. You might find you're
joking.
The one there.
That's hilarious. That's really, really cool.
We've been together ever since. And we've been married 11 years this year.
Wow.
And I would say that there's no me without him in terms of, it's great that I've been able to do what I've done professionally. My husband's played a major part in that in terms of the support. When I'm unable to do the mama thing, he steps in as papa. He's very involved in everything my child is doing, and he's always been my biggest cheerleader.
I love that. It's so interesting because out of all the women we've interviewed, whenever I talk about like spouses and having the support, it's either, it's so crazy, I have an incredibly supportive spouse or the woman is single. Those are the only options that we've noticed.
That says something, though.
It's crazy, right? And I don't mean
interesting.
supportive and like stay at home or anything like that. Just incredibly supportive, not necessarily picks up the pieces, but kind of steps in when like the woman is either can't be there for work commitments or whatever that looks like. It's always incredibly supportive husband or she is single.
Yeah. See?
It's crazy.
I think it takes a strong partner to be with a strong woman.
That was my next question.
It absolutely does. You know, I couldn't be with anyone that, first of all, didn't have their own drive and ambition.
That's a big one.
Whatever that looks like, right? It doesn't mean that you have a corporate job. You just need to have drive, ambition, and be doing, you know, putting that effort in
whatever career,
in
whatever that is.
In whatever it is.
I'm telling you, I was in university. I'll never forget it. I think I've actually told the story before, but I'm gonna do it again. And this lady, we were in Walmart. I'll never forget it. And she had on a maroon, you know, they have the smocks in Walmart, and they're usually blue or red. She had on a maroon one, and it said 50 years of service. And so we were looking, and she was, you know, checking our groceries out. And I asked, like, oh my God, you've been at Walmart for 50 years. That's crazy. And it's like, you've just come back, you know, to kind of do this on the side. She's like, oh no, been behind the register this whole time. And it has stuck with me ever since then, because I'm just like, wait, here doing this the entire time. And she was just like super content with it. And I couldn't fathom it.
In your mind.
Couldn't fathom it.
Yeah.
Doing the exact same thing.
For 50 years.
50 years. And proudly wearing that smock, like, this is what I've been doing. And that's okay for some people. Yeah. But when it comes to drive and ambition, for me, I want it, but I also would want my spouse to have it too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on where you are in life. Like she probably enjoyed going to work every day and being able to meet so many different people every day. And that in itself would have been her ambition and drive and her motivation, right? Everyone is at different places. And shout out to her, because that's incredible. Yeah. For me, you know, I needed someone who, first of all, intellectually, we got to be able to meet. We got to be able to meet. If I'm talking at A point and you're talking at Z point, we can't talk. So I needed someone that when I'm having issues or I'm thinking through something or I'm analyzing something, he's coming at it at my level, if not higher, because my husband brings a different perspective, having the accounting and finance background that he does. And so to me, that's great. This is someone that's meeting me where I'm at intellectually, also very, very driven. And I have my days. I have my days where I'm exhausted or something's happened and I'm reliving it, or I'm being too hard on myself or too hard on others. Like, he sees all of it, and someone that's in that same, you know, mental plane with me and can understand the stresses of the job and can get it was critical. It was critical. So the Bible talks about, again, my dad and I used to joke about this, being equally yoked.
It's a big, not just inside, it's in every
it's
way.
A thing.
You know?
It's the Bible knew what it was talking about.
In every way.
Real.
I know growing up, you think religiously, like same religion or believers, right? But as you become an adult, being equally yoked is so important from a financial perspective.
That's right.
From drive and ambition.
That's right.
It's a friend of mine and I were just talking about this the other day. We were like, not the Bible teaching us lessons that we didn't understand until we got older, right? It's the truth.
It's so true. And my dad and I used to talk about it, because I was the one that said, oh, Dad, equally yoked. And he's like, well, let's see what that looks like for you. Yeah. And it is everything. It is everything. And it's what determines, even when, because no marriage is perfect. Yeah. We fight like every other couple. We have our issues. We definitely have our issues where we argue more than we should. But it's seasons. And it's knowing that, oh no, this is my partner. Yeah. We are in this together. It's like you're building, I view my marriage and my partnership as I've described it before as a business partnership. You don't enter into business with people, people shouldn't enter into business with people that don't have the same vision, financial ethics, all of that good stuff. It's like we build this business plan together. We're aligned on it. It's critical. Yeah. They're saying about happy fairy love, and then 10 years down the line, we're ready to call it quits. We're building a business called the Courcy Partnership together.
I love that.
Right? And so I'm blessed in that respect.
Lara just got married, girl. You giving all this great marriage advice.
You'll be fine. Just
hilarious.
remember the butterflies last about, I don't know how long they last. For some people, they last forever.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the season.
Yeah. Michelle Obama said something, it might be more than a few months ago now, where she was just like, people are so quick to end marriages because it's tough for a moment. She was like, there were years where she could not stand Barack Obama, right? She was like, yeah, he's the president. And she was like, there were years where she was like, she didn't say jealous, but she was like, he was working on his career and she had taken a step back because she wanted to be really involved as a mom. Yeah. And she kind of envied that a little bit. And she was like, there were years like that where it was difficult, but she was like, we didn't give up. We knew the goal was exactly what you were saying just now. Yeah. And it's so crazy because you see a lot of people getting divorced right now. And so it's really refreshing to hear someone say, we're working on this, we're in this together, kind of like we're going to work through it.
Absolutely. I don't get listen, if it's not working, don't stay in an unhappy marriage. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah, that's completely different.
Let's be clear.
Because, the internet will take a soundbite and be like, Natasha and Deshay said, suck it up.
Suck it up. No, that is the exact opposite of what we're saying. We're saying you should know if you have a good relationship or not. Yeah. If it's toxic, nobody's telling you to stay in that. If you get a rough patch where for some reason you're not seeing eye to eye, go to therapy. Like,
there you go.
Do what needs to be done. All I'm saying is, if you found a good one, and it's not perfect for a season, it doesn't mean that's the end of the season.
Absolutely. Well, girls, stay married because this single market is rough.
I've heard that.
Okay?
I have heard that.
It is rough out here. You're talking about being intellectually on the same level. I went out on a date with a guy. It's when Donald Trump was president. And I was like, can you believe, like, Donald Trump, Larry's heard this before. You've heard Donald Trump. He said something. He was like, who is Donald Trump? And I was like, the president of the United States? You mean, wait, it's not Barack Obama anymore? And I was like,
oh, man.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm ready to go home.
Check.
This is it. So, girl, work through it. Go to therapy. That's all I'm saying.
Check, please. Yeah, what are we going to talk about after this?
There's nothing else to speak about after that. It's like, I don't even want to eat anymore. I've lost my appetite.
Right.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
That's my advice. Sense. That's my advice to married couples. Work it out.
I would say, like, the differences in culture. Like, so we're very different culturally, right?
Really? Where is he from?
So he's originally from Quebec.
Ah.
I'm an island gal. It's so funny. He loves the islands. I love city life. But we're very different culturally, even music-wise, right? So he's a hard rock Metallica dude. I'm like, what? I love my soca. I love my, I'm, like I said, R&B, hip-hop, all that stuff. Reggae, dancehall. Grew up on this. And so even that is very different for us, where we'd be fighting over the music. No, I want to hear this. No, I want to hear that. And now he's realized, okay, I've lost the battle.
You've lost
when
it.
When it comes to soca, that is what it is. And he loves it now.
Good.
Right?
What about your son? Is he into soca too?
Yes. Yannick has a diverse musical preference. So he loves soca. But also because of his dad, he'll listen to some rock music too. Yeah, but I'm playing soca most of the time in the house. Yeah. So that's what I'm pushing. Soca baby to the world.
There you go. That's all we're gonna say. That's all that matters. No, I get that. That's hilarious. So in terms of like your career, we're just gonna take a quick pivot back into your career. And was there any advice that you ever received that you would pass on to someone else, or would it be completely different to a younger woman coming up?
I wouldn't say anything specifically advice-wise that I got coming through the years. I would say things that I've observed are things that I try to pass on now. So I've had some amazing mentors throughout my career. Other people who I've observed in the space as lawyers themselves who broadened beyond just purely legal roles. And I took that on, I want to say I patterned myself after that, but I saw it as, oh, this is possible. I would try and pick those people's brains as much as I could. What are the areas I need to focus on? Those are the types of conversations I used to have. And so for me, it was always about constantly trying to learn, finding those mentors where I could. I find that as a young professional, it's important to have those checkpoints. Yeah. And I that's something that I was pretty consistent with coming through the years of my career. And so in terms of advice, you know, that I would give to those younger professionals, I'd say the gut's a big one. Knowing what you want. Sometimes, you know, people use vision boards. People, I like the idea of that too, having the vision board. I never really had that. I just always had in my mind's eye what I knew I wanted, which was broader than the GC had, which itself is very broad, but I knew I wanted more. And so I always kept that in my mind's eye. Well, what do I need to do career-wise, professionally-wise, networking-wise, to be able to broaden that? I think not knowing what you want, you don't always have to know precisely the role, the title, but I think it's important to have that benchmark ahead of you in your mind's eye. If you don't have that, you'll end up anywhere. Every opportunity sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that sounds like you know, you start wavering around the road a bit much. And so that's one thing that I would say, because I was able to look at my mentors, have those conversations, see their pathways, constantly challenge myself to continue down this pathway. It really did order. And I say my footsteps were ordered. It really was because in my mind's eye, not just God, obviously, we've talked about that, but it was really, I had a vision in mind. It wasn't written down on the vision board, but it was in my brain. This is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. I still have that now because the road hasn't ended, far from, right? So I think that's really important. And if you have that in your mind's eye, there are a few mentors you can talk to, people that you've looked up to into in the industry. Everybody's busy. Everybody doesn't have time. You know, try and find your way. Push. Don't be too aggressive now. I've had people in my inbox a little too aggressive. But I'd say, you know, be persistent in terms of constantly trying to reach forward in that goal and take the steps. Each step, whatever that looks like for you. It might be another course that you have to take. It might be asking for an opportunity to do a specific project in your company that you've seen other people do that you want an opportunity to do. It might be asking your boss for a different role. It looks different for everyone. I'm just saying be focused on it, right? And keep moving forward. And you might get hit back. There might be things that happen, and not every point along my career has been an easy one. I've gotten knocked back. I've gotten hits. I've gotten things that I've had to stand up, dust myself off, and move on. I think anybody that's been successful has that same story, right?
Definitely.
It's about how you adjust. It's something I'm trying to teach my son. So Kappa tournament was yesterday. Shout out to the Kappas. And you know, his team didn't win, but they tried really hard. The 7, right? And I'm just trying to teach him at this point. It went over his head at 7:00 last night, but I'm going to keep pushing it. Like, you're not going to win every one. I mean, even Michael Jordan didn't win every game, right? It's about how you deal with failure, how you deal with the losses. That's going to determine how much you win, period. So let's focus on that, right? And when it happens to you in your career, when you get shut down, you put in that CV, you didn't get that job, you didn't get that promotion, somebody else got it. Don't make it about being bitter, because that's the next thing. Bitterness eats at success.
Eats away.
Yeah, it eats at your own success. So let's be about even celebrating others. Somebody else got that promo that you thought you deserved. Well done, sis. Move on. You know, what's going to be my next way of getting my win? Make it about you, your progression, and celebrate every win. My friends know that I celebrate every win. It could be a good nail job. I'll celebrate that. Celebrate every win.
No, well, how do you celebrate wins?
Oh God, on a boat. No, seriously. So this next journey of my career, it's also about, for me and my husband, it was about spending the time. So, and pausing for a minute. I work a lot even when I'm on vacation. And so I made a point this time around, we're going to pause. We're going to celebrate. We're going to be together. We're going to put down the phone. Even that little putting down the phone.
That's big.
Was my way of celebrating, because it was taking time to be present.
Nice.
So I've celebrated in other ways too. I've had the parties, I've had the drink celebrations, I've had the friends over. I think as I get older, for me now, it's about time. Time is so precious. So being able to celebrate with my family by not looking at my phone for 8 hours, that's a win.
That's a win. You might get the phantom vibrations though.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
It happens.
It does.
It happens. I know.
Absolutely
I know.
does.
I was
And
on
get the
vacation
joy.
once and I left my phone at the villa, and I promise you I felt my phone vibrating in my pocket the entire time. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
It's
But
so
yeah.
funny.
All right. So as we wrap up, I ask everyone who can't leave the couch without it, what do you want to be remembered for when you're no longer on this planet and someone says Natasha Scotland Courcy? What do you want them to say about you?
Fearless. She was fearless. She broke through barriers. She cared and helped others.
Yeah.
And she was about leading through mentorship. She truly, truly was thoughtful about not just herself, but the people that she was trying to bring along with her.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
That
you
was
for
great,
having
right? That was
me.
super fast.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a great episode. I can tell already. But yeah,
I appreciate it. I know we've been trying to do this for some time.
I know.
So I'm glad
but it worked out.
Glad we did it.
I know. I think the first time we spoke about this is when I was just doing audio. So
Oh wow.
yeah. Now we're
last year.
yeah.
Well done, you. See progress.
Yeah, there you go. Ambition, drive, chicken.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for spending some time with me again today. I want to thank my lovely guest, Natasha, for joining me today. Hopefully you got some amazing little tidbits, a little bit of what you can take away with your career, with being a mom, with being a wife, even if it's as simple as putting your phone down for a little while and just being present and in the moment. Again, thank you so much, Natasha, for being with me today. And want to remember, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and then head over to the website, hustlehardpodcast.com, so you can be one of our VIP members, so you can get episodes early. You can also see a little bit more about Natasha. Her bio will be on the site, and any of the additional show notes that we may have. Thank you again for watching Hustle Hard Podcast.